Have you ever used social media as a real estate agent to get more listings and grow your business? And what happened is you didn't get any leads and your workload just increased. Well, the truth is, it's not enough just to do something on social media. You need to do the right, very specific things, and you need to do the right things really, really well. So, I want to share with you the four most important social media strategies you need to do right and do them well, and that will get you more seller clients. In case you don't know me, my name is Bossy Bolton, and I run a company that's worked with hundreds of real estate agents, ranging from top 10 mid-sized teams to new agents alike, helping them get more listings using social media. So the first strategy you can implement right now today to literally get more listing clients without spending anything on paid ads, tech, anything like that is identifying and attacking the low-hanging fruits. And what these are essentially are your existing audience, so things like your Facebook friends, things like your Instagram followers, things like your past clients, things like your database, all these people you've already accumulated over the years as real estate agents. Now, what it means essentially is, first of all, you want to look into your existing audience and see what you actually have going on. So make sure you map out your Facebook friends, Instagram followers, LinkedIn connections, your database, past leads, past clients, all these people, right? You want to make sure you map them out. And then based off that, you will have a list of people you can now start to talk to, start to engage with, and start to generate those referrals. Now, first things first, you want to DM people, so direct message people. That is the fastest way to literally get conversations going without paying for leads or anything like that. So once you have that list going for you, the next step from there is to really do only either one of these two things. So number one is unsolicited equity reports. So this is for people whose addresses you already know. This is for people that maybe you have already done some sort of home valuation in the past, and now we were going to update that, or also anybody that requests such a report. Now, the second way to do this is also best deals on the market. So this is really for people that you don't know where they live in, their addresses. You don't know even if they have a property, right? You're really going to go for either people that are upsizing, downsizing, or this could also work for a first-time home buyer as well. So let's go over that step-by-step framework for how do you actually do this? What is the actual process to do this, right? So step number one is sending the following tactical message. So when we talk about direct messages, we talk about these conversations, we don't just mean that you're gonna just send random messages, right? You wanna have tactics and tactical messaging going on. You wanna know exactly what to say. That's the thing that makes it work. So first things first, you're gonna say, hey name, so hey John, you sent. Then immediately after you send, I just wanted to do a quick equity update for you. So it looks like the homes like yours are selling between 525 to 550, depending on the location, amenities, etc., etc. Now, I'm not sure if you've had any thoughts of selling this year, but even if you don't, I wanted you to know where you're at. So here's your quick equity update, and you include a link to a CMA you did for them, and it's going to be a PDF essentially in a Google Drive. Very, very simple, takes literally 5 minutes to create. Does not have to get fancy, right? Because we're going to be able to do that more detailed, more customized report later on. That's sometimes where people kind of like miss it, where I try to create like very fancy report for every single person, but that is not the purpose here at all. Our purpose is just to update them on the equity update and then start the conversation. Later, if they're interested, right, we can go ahead and do more detailed analysis, hop on a Zoom and do an actual listing appointment, right? And that's what that's going to be for. Now, another thing people usually ask me is, okay, well, what do I do? Like, can I just use HomeBot and just spam a random automatic report, or am I not already doing this, right? Because I'm already sending automatic equity reports, right? So the way this is different is you're actually starting the conversation. So our goal here is actually not to just give them the equity report, right? But our point here is to having that conversation about the property, having that conversation about the move, and having the opportunity to also get a referral. So even though a lot of the people, they're already kind of like doing automated equity reports, as we know, that's very impersonal. There's no conversation. And obviously with things like email nowadays, right, the open rates are extremely low, right? So if you're doing something like that, it's most likely just going to spam at this point. So that's why this is such a different strategy compared to that, even though you may already be doing something like that. Now, step number three is you're waiting for reply. So at this point, obviously they're going to reply, and either they reply yes or no, right? So pretty much if they reply, thank you, we're not looking to move anytime soon, that is something you're probably going to be wanting to expect, right? So actually, we're not expecting them to sell their houses right now. So we're going to reply the following. So we're going to say, no wonder your home is amazing. As you saw in the report, home values have shifted a bit. And what we're doing right now this week is to get people clear on their exact situation right now. So who do you know you would find a report like this useful? So the whole point here actually that we're going after is going to be referral, not necessarily the listing, even though we're going to get the listing every now and then. Now, they're going to reply, we're actually, let's say to reply, hey, we're actually looking to make a move right now. We're looking to make a move this year. That's helpful, right? Thank you. Well, that's great. Right now, you got yourself a listing. Pretty much at that point, you just have to say something like, glad to hear you found it useful. Exciting times ahead. Then, if you're open to it, I could run you through what the numbers in the report actually mean for you and what the options in the market are for you right now. Right. So at that point, we just pretty much close the conversation. We're gonna have a conversation with them, see their timeline, right, and then pretty much just sell the house at that point. Now, immediately after you send that message, right, you just say, hey, we're finding the way to get the best deals right now is a little bit different compared to last year. So happy to share more insights. How's 10 to 15 minutes to hop on a quick chat, say tomorrow or Thursday at 11:30 or 5 p.m. So at that point, you just pretty much close the next step, right? We're just pretty much close a phone conversation. On the phone call, we can qualify them, see where they're at, and then book the next steps from there. Now, if they don't reply at all, which will happen a lot of the times, all you need to do is just send this follow up in the 24 hours. So just say, hey, just checking in case you saw this, just curious to hear your thoughts. And that's all we need to do as far as that report goes. There's no fancy techniques, no fancy website automations, right? It's just very, very simple human to human conversation. And as you know, right, most of the things are done in real estate this way, through relationships, through conversation. Now, let's go ahead and go to the step number two, or strategy number two. Strategy number two is native content. Now, as you know, content, right? That's something that's being talked about in real estate all the time. So people are talking about using social media. Everybody wants to use platforms like Instagram to be successful on Instagram, get listings, get people reach out to them from social media organically. However, the problem is probably 10% of real estate agents take 90% of their listings on social media. So 90% of realtors are really not getting anything from social media. Now, why is that the case? Well, number one case for why people are not getting listings on social media, for the most part, is really that they're using overdated, really outdated style of content. And that style of content is this commercial era content. So commercial era content essentially just means very, very marketing-y, kind of like a salesy based content. What that just means is things like headshots, things like automated content, hiring some sort of virtual assistant from Philippines, or another example is like using ChatGPT in a wrong way, where you just go to ChatGPT, tell it to give you some content, and posting that. So really anything where it's kind of like generic or automated information style content, right? That's really not going to work in today's day and age, because the whole point with creating your content, right, is actually not to provide information. People can get information nowadays from ChatGPT, they can get information from Google. There's just overflow of information. So it's really not about information at all when it comes down to your social media content. And what people respond to though, and people want to see though, is people, right? They want to see native content, something that's supposed to be a social media platform. And I want to highlight the social media platform, right? They want to see social content. That's what they're on social media for. Now, that's what native content really is. It is using social media in a way where it is supposed to be used. Now, the other part is making it about them and not about you. So oftentimes I see people, let's say they even get to that next stage where they start to create that personal content. They start to create content that's talking about them. So I've sold 100,000 houses. I've made $30,000 of GCI this month, whatever the case may be. I just sold this house, that house. I'm so successful. Look at me, right? And the thing is, that kind of content does not really interest anybody, right? But it's rather about the homeowners themselves that you want to create about. So you kind of like want to have a mix essentially between personal branding, where you are in the content yourself, and content that is going to be interesting and relevant to the homeowners themselves. So the homeowners themselves, they don't really care about you that much. They don't care about that you've sold 500 houses in the last 10 years, whatever, but they care about the things that matter to them. And so what you want to do with your social media content is be in the content yourself, right? So that you can build that relatability, you can build that credibility, you can get people sold on working with you. But the content itself, the substance matter itself, right? What that should be about is going to be them. So their insights about the market, insights about the local area, insights about the opportunities, case studies, success stories, all of these different things. And what it also means is that getting comfortable really with posting things that are not even real estate. Sometimes you may posting something funny. You may have seen Ryan Sherhan on social media. He's the top real estate agent in Manhattan, right? So what his content is, sometimes it's literally just throwing a ball on the wall. And as funny as it sounds, it's building his personal brand. It's getting him views. It's getting him engagement. It's getting him brand relevance, right? And so that's what it's all about. It's a mix between that real estate content and again that personal branding that you want to be doing. But what doesn't work is obviously that automated generic style content. So don't do that. Now, next strategy from here is building relationships at scale. So really realizing that listing generation on social media is relationships based business, but real estate itself is also fully relationship based business. And so if relationships themselves are the most important part about the real estate business and growing a real estate business, what it means for you is you should focus on a way to get relationships in the most scalable, fastest, and deep way as possible. And so what it really means is building parasocial relationships. Now, parasocial relationships phenomena is something you may or may not have heard about before, but what it means in the context of social media is that a lot of the people nowadays, especially younger generation, for them this is extremely normal, but it is building relationships with people that digitally, right, they get to know them. So meaning video, content, right, social media pieces, all these things, they're always building obviously relationship with that person. So as you're consuming that content, you're getting to know these people, right? Their values, their thoughts, their hobbies, the people that they know, right? You almost build that situation where you know somebody, but they have no idea maybe that you even exist. And that's what a parasocial relationship means. So back in the day, 20, 30 years ago, we would have this parasocial relationship with celebrities, right? We would have Michael Jackson, or we would have all these people that are in the sports field, right? Maybe you looked at Wayne Gretzky when you were a kid, right? Whatever the case may be, you kind of built this situation where you know this person and they have no idea who you are. Now, the way it works nowadays with social media, right, is that these parasocial relationships, they're not limited to only celebrities, but you may also build parasocial relationship with just somebody that's posting TikToks in your local area, right, about certain things. And even though that person is not necessarily a celebrity, they are building these parasocial relationships with thousands of local people or thousands of people in sort of like their little niche. So meaning something like a small area or small interest field. And so what that means for you as a real estate agent, right, is realizing that you can use these parasocial relationships and you can build these parasocial relationships without you necessarily, again, needing to go to the town and give tomatoes or whatever, right? So you can do this through social media and you can do this extremely effectively, right? Talking to thousands of people at the same time. However, you have to do it in the right way as we were talking before. So the most important part about building these parasocial relationships is realizing the best way to do it is really through storytelling from your personal life to show your values, show who you actually are. And this is something that's very difficult for a lot of real estate agents out there, right? They're struggling with this, like, okay, can I put myself out there? Can I put my personality out there? Or do I kind of need to be this real estate agent automaton where essentially I'm just a real estate agent robot, right? So what it really means for you is you want to go away from that robot mentality and then go into that personal mentality, right? Where you start showcasing more about yourself. It doesn't mean you need to start posting your kids. You can post if you want to. It doesn't mean you have to share something extremely vulnerable. It doesn't mean that at all, right? But it also means that you do need to put yourself out there. You do need to put some personality out there, and you need to start storytelling from the experiences you're actually experiencing as opposed to then just taking something from ChatGPT. Because being that person that is real, right, that is going to be the thing that's going to build those connections. And really, the fostering connections is what we're looking to do over here by using social media properly. What it also means is that not just being in a self-centered view where you view social media as, hey, I'm using social media just to get leads in, right? But it also, again, means using social media in the way social media is supposed to be used. So replying to other people's posts, liking other people's posts, replying to stories, sending DMs out of the blue, right? And all these sorts of different things, right? They're fostering these connections in local community as well. And that's what it ultimately boils down to, right? Is realizing like, hey, social media is not some sort of just marketing tool or a newspaper ad or something like that, right? But it's an actual platform where you can build real relationships and where you should build relationships if you want to get listings from it.